My husband dragged me out of my best friend's baby shower like the house was on fire. Said it was urgent, life or death. I trusted him completely. After all, we'd been married for 8 years. But when we got home and I saw what was waiting for us, I realized I never really knew him at all. Before we get into this story, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. You're not going to believe how this unfolds, and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Now, let me tell you about the day my entire world came crashing down. My name is Nicole, and up until 3 months ago, I thought I had the perfect life. I'm 34 years old, and I've been married to Brandon for 8 wonderful years. At least, that's what I thought they were. Brandon is a tech entrepreneur, one of those Silicon Valley success stories you read about in magazines. He built his company from the ground up, and when we met at a charity gala 8 years ago, I was completely swept off my feet. He was charming, ambitious, and he looked at me like I was the only woman in the room. We got married within a year, and I truly believe we were building something beautiful together. Our life was comfortable, more than comfortable, if I'm being honest. We had a beautiful home, we traveled, we had everything money could buy, but the one thing we didn't have was the one thing I wanted most: a baby. We'd been trying for 3 years, and every negative pregnancy test felt like a small death. Brandon would hold me while I cried, promise me that it would happen when the time was right, tell me we just needed to be patient. I believed him. I believed everything he told me. My best friend Angela was 8 months pregnant, and I was so incredibly happy for her. We'd known each other since college, been through everything together, and even though watching her belly grow was bittersweet for me, I was determined to celebrate this moment with her. I helped plan her entire baby shower, spent weeks making sure every detail was perfect. The shower was at her house, nothing extravagant but absolutely lovely, filled with friends and family and so much love. There were maybe 30 people there, and I was having the absolute time of my life. I was helping Angela open gifts, laughing until my cheeks hurt, taking a million pictures. For a few hours, I forgot about my own struggles and just enjoyed being there for my best friend. Brandon came with me to the shower, which I appreciated. He wasn't always great at social events, but he knew how important Angela was to me. Though looking back now, I realize he seemed distracted the entire time. He kept checking his phone over and over again. I noticed, but I didn't think much of it. Brandon always had business calls, always had something urgent happening with the company. That was just part of being married to him. Then, right in the middle of Angela opening her gifts, Brandon grabbed my arm. Not gently. His grip was tight, almost desperate. I looked up at his face and my stomach dropped. He was pale, absolutely pale, and his hands were trembling. "We need to leave," he said, his voice low and urgent. "Right now. It's urgent." I was completely confused. "What's wrong?" I asked him. "Is someone hurt? Did something happen?" He just shook his head, pulling me toward the door. "I can't explain here. Please, Nicole, just trust me. We have to go home now." There was something in his eyes, something I'd never seen before. Fear, maybe, or panic. I didn't know what to think, but we'd been married for 8 years, and I trusted this man with my entire life. So I followed him. I can still remember the look on Angela's face when I told her we had to leave. She was confused, worried, probably a little hurt. I promised her I'd explain later, gave her a quick hug, and let Brandon pull me out of there. I was so embarrassed, leaving my best friend's baby shower in the middle of everything like that. But Brandon made it seem like the world was ending, so I went. The drive home was 20 minutes that felt like 20 hours. I kept asking him what was wrong, begging him to tell me what was happening. Was it his mother? Was it the company? Was he sick? He wouldn't answer me. Just kept his eyes on the road, his knuckles white on the steering wheel, and kept saying, "Just wait until we get home. Please." My mind was racing through every terrible possibility. A family emergency, a business crisis, a health scare. I felt sick to my stomach, anxiety crawling up my throat. Whatever this was, it had to be catastrophic to make him act like this. When we pulled into our driveway, I noticed a silver Mercedes parked near the entrance. I'd never seen that car before. "Who's here?" I asked Brandon, but he didn't answer. He just parked the car, sat there for a moment with his hands on the wheel, and took this deep, shaky breath. Then he looked at me and said, Nicole, I need you to keep an open mind about what I'm about to tell you. Keep an open mind? What did that even mean? I followed him into our house, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. And there, sitting in our living room like she belonged there, was a white woman I'd never seen before. She was probably in her early 30s, well dressed, and she was holding a baby. A little girl, maybe 6 months old, with these big brown eyes. I looked at Brandon, then at this stranger in our home, then back at Brandon. What is going on? I asked. My voice sounded strange even to my own ears, like it was coming from somewhere far away. Brandon's face crumpled. He looked like he was about to cry, and I'd never seen him cry. Not once in 8 years. Nicole, he said, and his voice cracked. This is Christine, and this is my daughter, Madison. I want to tell you what I felt in that moment, but I honestly can't. It was like the floor just disappeared from under my feet, like gravity stopped working, like the whole world tilted sideways and I couldn't figure out which way was up anymore. His daughter. He had a daughter, a whole entire child that I didn't know existed. The words started pouring out of him then. There was an affair. 2 years ago, a business conference in Seattle. He swore it was a one-time thing, a mistake. He was drunk. It meant nothing. Christine got pregnant. She'd been demanding that he be involved, threatening him. He'd been paying child support. He'd been visiting this baby, his daughter, in secret for months. And today, Christine showed up at our house, unannounced. She gave him an ultimatum. Tell me the truth, or she'd expose everything publicly. That's why he dragged me out of Angela's baby shower. Because his mistress was already at our house, waiting. I couldn't breathe. I literally could not get air into my lungs. This wasn't just about an affair. This was about lies. Months and months of lies. A whole secret life he'd been living while I was at home crying over negative pregnancy tests. While I was blaming my body, wondering what was wrong with me, begging God for a baby. He was out there being a father to another woman's child. Christine sat there looking almost smug, bouncing that baby on her knee. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break something. Instead, I just stood there, frozen, while my entire marriage replayed in my head. Every late night at the office, every business trip, every time he held me while I cried about not being able to get pregnant. All of it was a lie. I need you both to leave, I finally said. My voice was calm. Too calm. Brandon shook his head. This is my house, Nicole. And that right there, that's when something broke inside me. Not sadness, not heartbreak. Rage pure, white-hot rage. We fought. God, we fought like we'd never fought before? He tried to minimize it, said it was just a mistake, that he was drunk, that it didn't mean anything. But you kept seeing her, I screamed at him. You kept seeing that baby. For months, while I was crying myself to sleep, you were playing daddy to her child. He said he was confused, didn't know how to tell me, was afraid of losing me. Then Christine opened her mouth. He told me your marriage was struggling, she said, so casual, like she was commenting on the weather. He said you two couldn't even have kids. That did it. That absolutely did it. He'd shared our pain, our private struggles, our most intimate failures with his mistress. I couldn't even look at him anymore. I went upstairs to pack a bag, my hands shaking so badly I could barely zip my suitcase. That's when I saw his laptop sitting open on his desk in the home office. The screen was still lit up, showing his email. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. There were emails to his lawyer, dozens of them. Discussions about divorce proceedings, asset protection strategies. He'd been planning to leave me. Not for days or weeks. For 3 months. 3 entire months he'd been preparing to end our marriage while still sleeping in our bed, still kissing me goodbye every morning, still pretending everything was fine. And the lawyer had advised him to handle the Christine situation before filing papers. There were other emails, too, discussing our prenup, looking for loopholes. That prenup. God, I'd been so young and in love when I signed it. 26 years old and absolutely convinced that Brandon and I would be together forever. I barely even read it. But there was a clause. If the marriage ended before 10 years, I'd get almost nothing. And if infidelity was proven, even less. We were at 8 years. He was going to wait it out another 2 years, then divorce me anyway. Christine just forced his hand by showing up today. I sat down at that desk and I laughed. I actually laughed because what else was I supposed to do? My husband had an affair, fathered a child, lied to me for months, and was planning to divorce me while making sure I walked away with as little as possible. I'd given him 8 years of my life, 8 years of trust and love and devotion, and this is what it was worth to him. I was still sitting there, staring at those emails, when my phone rang. It was Helen, Brandon's mother. Apparently, Christine had called her too, probably hoping to stir up even more drama. But Helen's call wasn't what I expected. "Nicole, honey," she said, and her voice was shaking with fury. "You stay right there. I'm coming over right now." Helen arrived 30 minutes later. She's this formidable woman, early 70s, came from old money and carried herself like royalty. I'd always loved her, honestly loved her more than my own mother sometimes. She walked into that house like a hurricane, marched straight into the living room where Brandon was still trying to explain himself to me, and slapped him across the face so hard the sound echoed. "How dare you?" she said, her voice ice cold. "Your father would be ashamed." Christine tried to say something and Helen turned on her like a snake. "Young lady, you need to leave this house immediately. Now." Something about the way Helen said it made Christine grab that baby and practically run out the door. Then Helen turned to me. She sat me down on the couch and took my hands. "Nicole," she said, "I need to tell you something." And then she told me about Brandon's father, about his affair years ago that nearly destroyed their family. She told me she'd made a vow back then that she'd never let her son become like his father. She'd been watching Brandon's behavior lately, had her suspicions that something wasn't right. "I'm calling my lawyer first thing Monday morning," she said. "I own 40% of Brandon's company shares. I'm restructuring everything." Brandon's face went white. "Mom, you can't." Helen held up one hand and he stopped talking immediately. "You've been more of a daughter to me than he's been a son," she said to me. "I'm putting you on the company board. You'll have a position, a real career, real security, and Brandon's access to family money, that's done." I watched my husband realize what was happening. His mother controlled the majority shares in his company. Without her support, he'd lose his position. He'd lose everything. Christine must have been listening from outside because suddenly, that silver Mercedes was peeling out of our driveway. She'd figured out that Brandon wasn't the golden ticket she thought he was. Brandon started begging. Actually begging, asking me to forgive him, saying he'd made a terrible mistake, that he loved me, that we could work through this. I looked at this man I'd shared a life with for 8 years. This man I trusted completely, and I felt nothing. No love, no hate, just nothing. "I'll never be your wife again," I told him, "but I'll be just fine." That was 3 months ago. I'm living in one of Helen's properties now, a beautiful townhouse downtown. The divorce is moving forward, and thanks to Helen's intervention, I'm actually getting a fair settlement. More importantly, I have a real job now, a position on the company board that I'm genuinely good at. Turns out I have a head for business. Who knew? Angela had her baby, a beautiful little boy, and I was right there in the delivery room holding her hand. Being there for that, watching new life come into the world, it helped heal something in me. I'm in therapy now, working through everything, learning how to trust again, learning how to trust myself mostly. Last week, Brandon called me. He was desperate, practically in tears. Christine is suing him for more money. His reputation in tech circles is completely destroyed. He's lost friends, business connections, everything. He asked me for help, asked if I could talk to his mother, put in a good word, help him salvage something. I listened to him talk for about 30 seconds. Then I said, "No, Brandon. Good luck with everything." And I hung up. I looked at myself in the mirror after that call, really looked at myself for the first time in months. And I smiled, a real smile, because I realized something important. Karma doesn't always come when you want it to. Sometimes it takes its sweet time, but it always shows up right on time. Brandon thought he could have everything, a devoted wife at home, and a secret family on the side. He thought he was smart enough to manage it all, to control the narrative, to come out on top. But the universe had other plans. And me? I'm gonna be just fine. Better than fine, actually. I'm gonna be free. So that's my story. My husband thought he could have everything, a devoted wife at home and a secret family on the side. But karma had other plans. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what you would have done in my situation. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? I share real stories about real people every single week. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Until then, remember, the truth always comes out, and karma, she's never late.